For the record, all city council members are present, as are members of the staff. I've asked Chief Brinkman if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This time, we usually take a moment of silence, and as we take a moment of silence, we ask you to, if you would remember those who are serving in our military, those who serve around the world to help protect this great nation, protect our many freedoms. We would ask you also remember our first responders, our police officers, and our firefighters as they serve on our behalf. And we'd also ask you this evening to remember our city council as they make decisions that affect this good city, and we would that they might make the decision that is best for those who reside here and also those who come here to shop and for other reasons. Now take a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Next, move on to public comment. This is a period of time that's set aside for you. Those of you who are here, the members of the public, that you can come forward to the microphone. You can express any ideas you might have or concerns in the city. And we would ask you to state your name at the microphone, and also ask if you would probably limit your comments to about 3 minutes. So the time is yours for public comment. Seeing none, we'll move on to presentations and reports. We'll move to item 2, City Administration Report. Turn the time to Mr. Worthen, our City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor Searle. Council, before you is the monthly report that we provide to you. This is for January of 2019, first month of the new year. I would like to, if I can, just go to the department reports, which are before you. I don't know if you have any particular questions about those particular reports. I'm not going to highlight any particular report or department tonight. Also before you is the monthly utility report, as well as the associated graphs that go with that. I'll skip over the anniversaries at this point, come back to them in a second. Our staffing authorization report from the 2005 action plan shows that we're 1 3/4 FTE below what is authorized for us. You'll note that report in your packet as well. The community development report, if I may, with Mike Agate's approval here, just note ongoing developments for you. The Lazy Boy store projected to open here soon, this coming early spring. Still under construction. Cycle Gear announced that they'll open their new store here fairly quickly. They're located in the old Deseret bookstore over by Lowe's. The Quick Quack Car Wash, which you approved at your last meeting, not yet secured their building permit, or have they, Mike? I can't remember if they have, not yet. Which is on the corner of Riverdale Road and 700 West. The Best Realty store, still under remodeling, if you will, significant remodeling. They're over there across from Target, is moving forward. Dania Furniture approached this to use the old Babies R Us store on about 40th South and Riverdale Road. Dania is a furniture company that has several sites across the country, specialize in maybe a more modern-looking type furniture, more European look. And then the Good Earth is getting close to finishing their remodel. Some of you may have seen that store. It looks pretty good. Looks better than the old bookstore that was there. And so they have some things on the interior that they're trying to finalize. But all in all, there's some really good things. The mayor and Mike and I were commenting this morning just on the number of remodels that you see going on in the community. And if you really go back and you start looking at them, Walmart, McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, it's good. Businesses want to be here, and they make that effort to have a good projection into the community with their stores and their facilities. And so we were just commenting on that earlier today. The finance report is in your packet. I wanted to point out that the sales tax revenue is strong this year. Highest year we've ever had here in Riverdale City, which is good. We're benefiting from a great economy and the consumer confidence that you see in the state of Utah, which is good. Speaks not only good for us, but for Weber County, other entities that benefit from all the sales tax revenue that we generate here in this regional commercial hub of Weber County, which is nice. Going back, if I may, real quick to the February anniversaries, employee anniversaries. This is my favorite part, always doing this. And the fact that we have an employee here tonight, Joel Pippin, or I should say Sergeant Pippin, is with us tonight. And congratulations to him and to his family and his support. To have the support of great families for great employees. But Sergeant Pippin has 15 years of service with the city of Riverdale. And every 5 years we recognize that service with an award and recognition here at the council. So I appreciate you being here, Joel. And then Michael McNeely has reached his first year of service here with Riverdale, also in the city's police department. Officer McNeely has a year of service with us, so we're glad he's with us as well. So we want to have those two employees for our February anniversaries. We'd like to take a minute here and recognize Sergeant Pippin for his 15 years, Mayor.
Where's our veterans?
Chief and Joel, come on up.
You haven't been in the last couple of times. Maybe it's the weather. It's too cold.
Maybe.
Sorry, I didn't know if you knew
No,
that it's
I would have never got it. How are you again?
Doing well.
Good. It's nice to have you here with us tonight. It's nice to have your family. We appreciate your family very much and appreciate their support they give you. We appreciate all that Joel does as a police officer, a sergeant, shift sergeant, and for the great job he does. We think highly of him. We think highly of all our police officers. We feel we really have the best police officers, best police department there is. Bar none. We're very pleased with what they do and the job they do because they're the best. So appreciate your service, 15 years service. That's a lot of service. And I'm sure Officer McNeely's looking up to the experience and the know-how. So I'll give you this, then I'm going to turn the time to Roger and the chief and let them just say a few words. So this is a certificate of achievement to Riverdale City Corp to Joel Pippin for 15 years of outstanding service. And we'll give you this. It's also got a little Mom, there's a little money in there, so you might be aware of that. Make sure that goes to the right place. So
Thank you.
maybe I'll go out to dinner somewhere, so,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. Just, I want to make comment. My son the other day was watching some YouTube videos of police in action, and it's often a scary situation that they deal with, and behind every officer is a family. Sorry. And those families are important in their support for the officer and what he or she is doing out in the field each and every day. And it's important here at Riverdale City to have that support and to have officers that are involved in the community. Many times, Chief Brinkman and I hear, well, why don't we just contract and have the county take care of it? And that's not what we're going to do. That's not what we're about in Riverdale City. We value the service. We value the community involvement that not only Sergeant Pippin offers, but the other officers in the department. It's a valuable service to us, to a community, to have that support in the community for our residents. And it's valuable that they're out there each and every day, dealing with everything from traffic accidents and citations to some serious issues in our community. And they do a wonderful and great job. And Joel is a class act out there. He's always out there working hard to make sure that the Riverdale community is served well, and he does a wonderful job, and I appreciate that, and thank you. Thanks, Joel. Chief.
Joel is awesome, and I also want to thank his wife and kids for all the shift work, the bad shifts, the overtime, the call-outs, everything that happens throughout 15 years of service. I can remember when we hired Joel, we had the test up at Weber State, and I knew that he was going to be the guy that we were going to hire within about 5 minutes of meeting him, and he's never disappointed us. He's served in a lot of capacities here and done a lot of different things, and someone we could always count on to just make really good decisions. And he served in patrol of detectives, now as sergeant. He rode motors too. Motors. He's our firearms instructor, and so he's just got a wealth of knowledge, does a fantastic job in everything that he does. So really appreciate him and everything that he does for our city and for the department. So thank you.
Can I get a picture of you guys?
Did you want to say anything?
I'd like to say thank you to the city for.
Thanks.
Just to say you're weathering well with the picture in the packet. You know, it's like Steve Brooks looks like he's still in junior high, but you're 15 years, you're still looking good.
Mayor, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks again for being here with us.
We'll change it. Steve, you should change it.
In all fairness, I'll bet you I have told Chris Stone probably 200 times to get that damn thing changed. Because I said, Alan makes fun of me all the time. I don't even know what it is. And Chris says, oh, I'll get to it. And it still hasn't been done. So I've tried. I swear I've tried, Alan.
Actually, he really likes it.
I'm going to make note of that. Change Steve's picture.
Same age, and he didn't want to feel too old. So.
Yeah, it puts him down. Yeah, I can see that. Move on next to the consent items. One consent item, review of the meeting minutes from February 5th. City Council work session, also February 5th, City Council regular session. Any changes or corrections at this point? That, do we have a motion on the consent items?
Motion to approve the consent items.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous in favor. Move on to our action items. The first is consideration to approve the Garf Leslie small subdivision request. This is property. It's located approximately 671 West, 4400 South here in Riverdale. This action is requested by Matt Garf. Mr. Eggett, our Community Development Director. Turn it to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, Matt Garf is the applicant. Brad Brown is present today representing his interest in this application. Brad happens to also be a resident of the community, so he may be familiar to some of you. The application is for a two-lot subdivision proposal at approximately 671 West, the second lot being 667 West, 4400 South. It's zoned Mobile Home Park Recreational Vehicle Park, which is RMH-1 zoning, on 5.25 acres of land. The easternmost lot, which would be Lot 2 in this request, is subject to be a parking lot development as part of the subdivision, and will retain a portion that has the existing large billboard sign in place, its current location. Lot 1 will at the current time continue to exist as a mobile home park with a future unknown destiny. It's probably a fair thing to say. All the properties are currently owned by Garf Properties Riverdale LLC. This matter came before the Planning Commission historically on November 27th of last year, December 11th of last year, and then more recently January 8th, and finally February 12th. At the conclusion of the February 12th review of the item by the Planning Commission, they did recommend approval by the City Council of this request subject to resolving staff concerns. Those staff concerns have been resolved as noted in your packet if you review the comments therein. The request for this proposal has a component that requires that an engineer's cost estimate be reviewed. That has been reviewed by the city engineer and supported by the city engineer as adequate to meet the city's improvement needs for performance security. And the general plan usage for this site is residential medium density, which this use would be allowed as an ancillary use within the RMH-1 zoning for the site per the zoning ordinance. Mr. Worthen has provided some comments that were discussed at the work session. Bottom line is this is an administrative request subject to meeting certain administrative rules found within the zoning code that have been adequately met by staff's reviews and basically checking the check boxes, if you will, of that zone and development standards found within Title 10. The only thing I would note outside of that wasn't reviewed in the work session, just to put it on the record, is Mr. Douglas's comments, which he stated with stormwater that the drainage system operation and maintenance plan with BMPs be recorded with the plat. Mr. Brown, his client, are aware of that. And then a notice of intent for the stormwater permit be filed with the state prior to starting construction, and he's aware of that as well, and they plan to do that. Other than that, all the other items are in the packet if there are any questions or comments, and I defer back to the mayor and council to discuss accordingly. Thank you, Mayor.
Any questions or comments? Mr. Ellis?
This is for Mr. Brown. Part of that's the trailer court. We know that there's been a lot of problems. I know that the police chief has made you aware of it. Is there any possible plans in the future to change the use of that or to improve it?
Yes, immediately the plans are to improve it, to revamp the park. Currently, the Garfs had no plans of keeping it going as a park, and so as people moved out, they just kind of left the abandoned homes there. And so the new owner will go through the process of, they have to go through the eviction process and then gain control of them, then they'll sell them and occupy them. They're going to do upgrades to the park to get it up and going. And like Mike said, potential redevelopment, is, we're hopeful with the new buyer, so.
Yeah, that'd be great if we could improve it or do something to.
Right, but it definitely will be better than it is. I mean, this new buyer is going to upgrade it until the time when it's time to redevelop, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Arnold?
I'd move to approve the Garf Leslie subdivision as stated within the packet.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Mrs. Manning, would you do a roll call vote on this one, please?
Councilmember Ellis.
Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Aye.
Councilmember Arnold.
Aye.
Councilmember Hanson.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens.
Aye.
It's unanimous in favor. Thank you. Thank you, Brad, for being here tonight. Move on to action item 2, consideration of ordinance 906, amending Title 3, Chapter 1, Section 4. This is a business license application procedure. Mrs. Manning, our city recorder.
This proposed amendment is just basically to allow business license applications to expire after 6 months. During the work session, it was mentioned that we could reduce the time to 90 days. I would just ask that if that's the direction the council wants to go, you include it in your motion.
Okay, any questions or comments? Mr. Hanson.
I'd make a motion that we approve ordinance 906, amending Title 3, Chapter 1, Section 4 of the Business License Application Procedure with the addition of changing the 6-month time frame to 90 days.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Mrs. Manning, will you poll the council on the ordinance, please?
Councilmember Mitchell.
Aye.
Councilmember Arnold.
Aye.
Councilmember Hanson.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens.
Aye.
Councilmember Ellis.
Aye.
Unanimous in favor, thank you. Moving on to action item 3. This is consideration to award the bid to the post-construction in the amount not to exceed $687,257.01 for the Ritter Drive Reconstruction Project Phase 1. Mr. Douglas, our Public Works Director.
Thank you, Mayor. Like we said, this is I think it's an exciting project. I never thought I'd see this happen while I was here. See curb and gutter and sidewalk on Ritter Drive for a portion of it. So I think the cost was always so high and prohibitive, we never thought it'd happen. And with the development, it was able to, I think, be in a really reasonable range for what we're doing over there. And if you have any questions, I'll try and answer them.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Mr. Ellis?
You've got the bid down to once down to the penny. Is it? Would you that comfortable with it, or do you want a little
what
bit more
happens?
money?
What happens on that is the contractors a lot of times get really competitive, and so they'll have a certain number they might throw in there, or they'll add that 1 cent in case somebody else bids a different dollar amount. It just differentiates them just a little bit on the end. And so you'll see that there's some contractors that have a set number they always put in cents, like 66 or 77. I don't know why they chose that one, but that's the number they had in there. So
I was just wondering if they go over by a penny, or are we going to have to bring it back? You know?
No, I don't think we'll get there, but it's just one of those deals they do in their bid process. You hardly ever see even numbers. You do sometimes, but a lot of times it'll have something on there.
Okay. Mr. Arnold was first, I think.
I
You had
make
your
a
hand
motion,
up.
so-
You okay? Mr. Stevens?
So are you saying that this is being awarded because it is the lowest bid?
It is the lowest bid.
How many participated in the bid process?
There was 4.
It's in the packet.
So it was competitive.
It was.
For this kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them were going to meet the criteria that we were.
Correct.
Okay, good.
This one was significantly less, too. It was a good...
It was. I was surprised. This
good.
contractor's typically, he's a good contractor, and typically his numbers are a little bit higher. And so I don't know why. He must have wanted this project, and it worked for his time schedule. So.
Good. Mr. Ellis?
In the work session, we talked about moving the utility poles. Is that going to be at the city expense? Is this part of the contract, or is this going to be the utility company that is responsible for moving them?
With our franchise agreement, Rocky Mountain Power is responsible for moving the poles. They're
we've already sent them the letters. We've met with them on site, and that should be moving forward fairly quickly.
Mr. Mitchell.
Have you seen a plan from the contractor? I mean, how he's planning on doing it? Like, is he going to close the road completely down for a certain amount of time, or is that?
We did allow them to have a closure.
Okay.
So it's so narrow there that with the pipe work and everything, we would have been down to one lane with intermittent, and it would have just slowed us down. That's like I was saying earlier. You know, we could have drug it out to 6 or 9 months. But we allowed them to do a closure on it. We're going to try and limit it as much as we can, but there will be a closure on it to finish it.
I appreciate you putting the expedited time frame on it. I think that'll be good for the residents, and that's.
And we are going to try and limit them to no more than 2 months of a closure. You know, so it's a tight time frame. So hopefully we can get it done in that time. But that's the amount of time we gave them.
Anything else? Any other comments, Mr. Arnold?
I'd move to approve the award the bid to post-construction in the amount not to exceed $687,257.01 for the Ritter Drive Reconstruction Project Phase 1.
Award it to who? Did you say?
Post-construction.
Oh, okay, second that.
Okay, you got a motion, we got a second. Any other discussion on the motion?
Read it.
Different than on here.
Oh.
Okay, seeing none, Mrs. Manning, would you take a roll call vote on the bid award, please?
Councilmember Arnold?
Aye.
Councilmember Hanson?
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens?
Aye.
Councilmember Ellis?
Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell?
Aye.
Unanimous in favor, thank you. Moving on to discretionary items, is there any discretionary business for the meeting, Mr. Arnold?
I just asked Roger if he could take a look at the speed limit on Ritter Drive. Maybe even after the proposal or the reconstruction's done or something like that. They put a speed limit like sign, you're going this fast, and it is physically impossible to go 25 on that road. Every time I go down, I'm at least 31 to 34.
That's what brakes are for.
I know. So anyway, I just brought it to Roger's attention, so maybe after that's done.
He told me the same thing today too, so you must be,
It's physically impossible.
yeah.
It is.
You roll faster than that.
You
is hard.
could have these guys making some big money on a speed trap right there.
That sign collects data, so we do review that. And I know, what was the 85th percentile? Around 34, 32?
The other 15 or 40.
The signs they're expensive, but they do function, they work. But what's great is they collect data, and data can tell you.
Pictures.
Yeah.
Help,
I want
help
the
us.
red and blue flashers on ours too. Those are awesome.
Anyway, they are working. They are doing what we wanted them to do. So thank you.
Good. Anything else, Mr. Ellis?
I'd like to compliment the Public Works Department on snow removal. You guys have had a tough year, but appreciate you guys getting out on holidays and weekends and all hours of the night to keep the roads open. At least my road up by me has been really good. So compliment you on all the good work that you've done.
Thank you.
Anything else? Mr. Hanson?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion, we got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned, thank you.
Make it to the
You didn't
swim
wear a
night.
tie.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.